computer. All right, welcome everybody. This is Aminata Soul Plant Walker Firewoman, the host of the Mother Tree Network podcast. And our special guest today is Dr. Elsbeth Meuth. Dr. Elsbeth is someone who I've known for a few years now. Gosh, I think maybe 7 years. And we met at an entrepreneurs gathering, and then I got so interested in her offerings, which are all about intimacy and reclaiming your power, your sovereignty, and interconnection, all of that kinds of stuff. So I invited Elspeth on because Michael and I just completed her couples retreat, which was in Costa Rica this year. And I came from that retreat so like awakened. There's no other word I can describe it. So many things turned on that when Elspeth was available, I was and said she'd be willing to come on. I want to get her on right away. So welcome, Elspeth.
Thank you so much, Aminata. I'm just thrilled to be here with you. And when your invitation came, my heart felt open and warm and so acknowledged.
Yes. People were asking me, where'd you go? Couples retreat. What was that? And I was talking about it so much, Elspeth. I thought I should just do a testimonial. I'm out here, running my mouth about this. So, we always start our show, Elspeth, with the question of what's good. So, what's good for you today?
Oh, what a great question. What's good for me today? This is actually something I have been practicing, not with this exact question, but the spirit of the question because I've been really sitting with gratitude. What does it mean to be grateful every day? When I get into a mood, when something happens in the outer world that looks like it's against me, it feels like it. I'm not saying it's so, but it feels over here. When I start worrying, when I have differences with my beloved Freddie Santal, who is my business partner and life partner. So how can I shift quickly out of these states that I really am dedicated to not spending much time in, because it just pulls me down. So what is good today is, for me, being grateful for being alive. Mm. And when I forget what to be grateful for, I turn to a simple place, which is my breath. Because when I bring my awareness to my breath, I become aware of how miraculous that is that the breath keeps me alive. Mm. And that is really good.
Well, thank you for reminding us. And I just invite everybody who's listening, just take a deep breath. Yeah, just to feel that. So, Elspeth, one of the things that you taught us at the retreat, the couples retreat, was this the heart-to-heart hug. You know how you hug each person, you hug on the left side, so you're heart to heart, and you hold it. It's not just a quick little hug, it's a hug you hold, for some breaths. So I wanted you to know that I've been doing that with my son. Yeah, I have a 23-year-old son, and he's busy. He's always, I don't get a lot of time with him. But when I asked him I said, "You got 20 seconds for me?" He said, "Yeah." And he was so surprised when I came over and I held him heart to heart for 20 seconds, and I counted because I'm a Virgo. And it was amazing. At a certain point, things do start to dissolve. Maybe probably at about 15 seconds, all of a sudden you feel things, I don't know, shake down.
Oh, I'm very touched that you do it with your son, not only with Michael, but also with your son. And it shows that this practice that is really there for us to bring our awareness to our heart, which is the love center. And of course, I can only connect with another in love when I'm connected with love within. And we easily forget it when we get overwhelmed, when we get stressed. And so you introduced me or said something about, energy, and that this is a beautiful way of tapping into our heart energy that is pure love, and it with another. So for everyone, this practice, and I'm happy to share this with the group in the podcast notes, a link to that practice. So each of you who is listening today can actually learn how to do this practice with someone in your life, a child, a beloved,
A
whoever.
pet?
Right. Anything that is alive, actually, and that breathes, because the breath is what we want to focus on. And when we can, as you said so beautifully, after a few breaths, all the chatter disappears. And when we bring awareness, wherever we bring awareness to, that is where our energy follows. So when I bring my awareness to my heart center and, synchronize the breath with another, we become one breath.
Mm-hmm.
Not guided through the head, it's guided through the awareness and the focus on the heart. And the beauty is then that when we focus on the heart frequency embellishes. Again, it just happens. So,
Elsbeth, you said the heart frequency embellishes.
yes.
So it meaning it adds to that. What do you mean? In what way?
Yeah. So there is a certain electromagnetic field around the heart, just there is also a certain electromagnetic field around the brain. They have different frequencies. And when we are not coherent in that electromagnetic field, like when I feel perpetually sad or resentful, that after a while is my electromagnetic field around the heart. And we may not be aware of it from this, but we may feel it and others feel it. So when I bring my awareness to my heart center, which we do in that partner practice, immediately, and I breathe in and out of the heart, that electromagnetic energy gets further activated. And then the heart energy, love energy, is like speaking in hertz. It's reverberates at 500 hertz. Unless resentment or anger, they reverberate at 100 hertz. Lower the hertz, the lower the frequency, the more debilitating in terms of what effect it has on our body, on our health, our emotional well-being, our physical health. The higher the frequency, like love or joy or bliss, that raises us up. It's very beneficial for our well-being on all levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. So then doing this practice with another attunes us. When we are in that embrace, we don't want to fight. It's totally, it just doesn't feel right, and we, even Freddie and I, we do that practice when we may be in a fighting place, because we know when we fight, we cannot resolve anything. Yet when we come together, which may not be easy when I really have something against Freddie, when I fight with him, I feel wronged and he is wrong. From that place to shift into an open heart takes really willpower. Like, by volition, you want to do it because you're more committed to being connected in love than being not connected and feeling resistance and anger, because that's not the energy I want to live with.
Well,
And
I
in
love
with
that. I love that. And there's a couple things I want to go a little further into. Um, but before we get to the partners and to conflict, I wanted to say that one of the things I appreciated about the retreat, which was a couples retreat with everybody was coupled up, but how you and Freddie emphasize coming into your own individual self, your own individual body, breath, um, you raising my individual vibration. You know what I mean? Before we go to partners. And the reason why I feel like this is so great is because it it seems like the way we're trained is to always look outside of ourselves, especially to a romantic partner, to make us feel good, elevated, energetic, comforted. You know what I mean? And then when they're not available, then there's this resentment. So can you talk a little bit about like not just the importance of it, but like, I don't know, if you have any stories about how you do it for yourself.
Yes, yes. You know, Aminata, that was a huge awakening for me in my own life when I became aware of that I'm the generator of my emotions. Until like I was 50 or 51, I lived my life from a place that like that someone else, because of someone else, I feel a certain way. And I went to a meditation retreat at that age because I was so despaired in my life and totally externally oriented, externally referenced. And what I got from that meditation retreat was that I'm the one who is the author of my emotions, which was, not comfortable on one hand because it's my responsibility then. On the other hand, it was such an opening because it brought the power back to me, because I am the only one who can then change how I feel. Now, of course, since then, I've been doing a lot of learning and practicing because my nervous system was so used to it, to that being externally referenced, which means I need a lover in order to feel love, or I need another to acknowledge myself so that I feel I'm worth it. To coming that I can actually bring this about in myself. So the breath is a beautiful way of starting to listen to myself. And of course, as you already said, if I cannot breathe with myself, how can I breathe with another? So because these practices are not just for couples, they, as Aminata says, they start with ourselves. What about if we just do a little practice?
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone who is listening, if you could place both of your hands on top of each other and then on your heart center, in the middle of your chest, between your breasts, and you want to have your back erect. You can sit on a chair or on a sofa. And then close your eyes. And when you are ready, exhale all air, emptying yourself out. And then take a deep breath in and notice how your belly fills up and then your chest fills up. And notice how your chest opens into your hand. And on the exhalation, let the breath go. Again, deep breath in, the belly fills up, the chest opens into the hand. And then on the exhalation, notice how the breath trickles out of you. Deep breath in, opening your heart into the hands. And on the exhalation, let the breath trickle down and out. Breathing into the heart, opening into the hands. And breathing out of the heart, letting the breath go. Breathing in love. and letting the heart relax. Continue in this breathing pattern and notice how your beautiful heart opens more and more with each breath. And not only within you, it starts opening into the space around you. This is you. This is love. This is you being love within and all around you, emanating from you into the space around you. And while you continue with that breathing in and out of the heart, take your hands just 1 inch off, breathing in and breathing out of the heart, and feel how your hands are an extension of your heart. You may even feel some tingling in your palms, connected with love within and love all around you. And then remove your hands and bring them back into your lap. Continue with the breath and notice how you feel. And then coming back by opening your eyes. And Aminata, if you would be willing to share a little bit.
Yes. I felt the tingling in my palms when I moved my hands an inch away from the chest. I definitely felt that. And I feel deeper and happier. I just feel, yeah, I feel connected to my bigger self. And, one of the things that since our retreat, Elspeth, I've been clarifying what I'm about, who am I serving, who do I want to partner with, which is, when I had your husband, Freddie Zintal Weaver, on, he was talking about how the practices that we do, that you lead and teach in Tantra, can be used not just for, sexual pleasure and sexual connecting, but also to help you connect with that which you most deeply want in the world, you know? And so I had this vision and then some clarity that what I want to do is to help other women lean into nature and listen for nature's wisdom and compassion. And one of the ways we do that, of course, is with our hearts. It's like we have to slow down to tune in so we're available. And so that's yes. And when you said, you could do it with partner, a child, a pet, I was even thinking, oh, I could do it with the tree outside in my yard, just that breath, that in and that out, just staying with the breath. And it's only 20 seconds, so we all have time.
Yes. Can we talk a little or look further at the feminine and the, you mentioned something when we prepared for the conversation today about women's leadership.
Yes.
Yeah. And the creative energy that you alluded to when you mentioned Freddie Santal, about using that energy that resides in our pelvic floor, where life force energy emanates from, and then to see how this is correlated to the tree.
Tell us.
So anything, anyone who has aliveness on this planet, so there's inert matter, like the table or the rock, and then there is alive matter, like you and I and everyone who is listening is alive matter. Because energy, life force energy, that goes hand in hand with the breath, they are one. They give aliveness, they give life to matter. How we can see this so clearly is when a person dies. Right before a person dies, the last thing that gives in and out is the breath. And then the body falls apart. That doesn't mean that the frequency of that human being dies as well, but the matter, the body of that person. So if breath and life force energy go together when we die, they must go together when we are alive. So we learn very little about our life force energy when we grow up, or also as adults. You know, we learn more about nuclear energy or thermal energy, electrical energy than about our life force energy. So when we learn about our life force energy, we become aware that we can guide life force energy through the breath. In Sanskrit, there's a term which is prana. And if anyone studies yoga, you are familiar with that term. Prana means energetic breath. It's curious that they have only one word, while Western languages have two words. Energetic breath, or energy and the breath. But they are one, because when I don't breathe, I die, you know? So that energy, that life force energy in us human beings emanates from the base of the spine and then moves up in a serpentine way to the top of the head, and then moves down again. With each inhalation, it moves up. Each exhalation, it moves down. Just like blood flow runs through our arteries and veins, energy runs through our nervous system. That's the grid for energy. And of course, the spine holds so many nerves, you know, so it moves up and down. So we can become aware of that energy running through us. And then we can learn to become aware of that energy in different stages. Like right now, you know, all of us are probably in a subtle state of energy like this.
Yeah.
However, when I walk at Lake Michigan for my workout, I may feel a real glitter from the breeze over my skin. So my energy is slightly arises slowly, gets aroused. I think that's the term I'm looking for. I'm not highly aroused, like in a climactic or ejaculatory way, you know, but a little bit. And then, of course, other stages. And then, yes, this energy, when it's highly aroused, it can come to a climactic moment for the woman or an ejaculatory moment for the man. That subtle energy and that aroused energy, they come from the same energy. So we call life force energy sexual energy, or we call it life force sexual energy, to be aware of, oh, wow, that's the same energy. And I can learn how to guide that energy. Given that this energy is creative and pleasurable, why not using it to set ourselves free in terms of who we want to become, what we may want to do in life, how we may want to contribute? I'm not surprised that you had some opening after the retreat, because there was a lot of clearing and healing and connecting with that life force energy, then integrated with the love energy and connected with the mental and the consciousness energy. So again, we want to become coherent between these different dimensions or centers, because when we compartmentalized or off, we feel off. We cannot be that power in the world to bring forth what we came here for.
Mm. And I think that is a really good point, to bring forth what we came here for. You know, we can get lost or confused, you know, or even be so lost that we don't even know we're lost. You know, we're just doing stuff. So that thing about connecting to that life force energy, you know, is as the foundation, and bringing it up, like in with your conscious, with your awareness, you know, bringing it up. That is that's a beautiful way to integrate concepts and the real body.
Yeah. And let's bring it back now to women's leadership.
Mm-hmm.
The feminine sexual energy has been so vilified over the millennia. And feminine sexual energy is our creative energy. It's the bringing forth energy, bringing new life into the world. And it is bringing ourselves into the world in our creation. So what I have, you know, found working with hundreds and hundreds of women over the last 2 decades is that when this energy, for us women to clear that energy, because it's given that we all grew up in a hierarchical structure like the male female structure or other, you know, minority communities, it's the same principles. We won't change it by complaining or fighting. We will change it by changing our consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We women, part of that shift has to do with clearing our relationship with our sexual energy, that is our life force.
Mm-hmm.
When we set that free, creative energy is coming forth.
Mm-hmm.
I have witnessed this so often, including myself, like
Me
21
too. I
years.
think it's healing. It's not just creative, it's healing, because you
Yeah,
bring it up and you start to notice where there are blocks. You know, physiologically, I noticed the blocks on my left side doing one of the exercises from the retreat.
yeah. So I want to invite every woman who is listening here, and if there's a man too, to become aware of that, how you may want to look at women in the future, how you may want to listen to them. So for every woman, that you may want to open yourself to your creative energy. And some of you may be already very open, others may wonder, what is she talking about, you know? Or perhaps if you feel uncomfortable even about this conversation, you know, perhaps have the courage to keep looking, to keep listening.
Yes.
I found that when there's something uncomfortable for me in my life, being open towards it may open something up that I may have resisted, that however may be something that could free me. Discomfort is always there when there is something blocked, or, you know, my construct in my head keeps me from seeing the possibility. So so clearing, healing, opening our sexual self, not just for pleasure, and that's wonderful. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I love that. But also for connecting with that life-giving energy. And then I can learn to move up that life-giving energy into my heart, embellish my heart, and then bring it to my focused mind, my intentionality, and even listening for, what may be next for me, or what may I want to open up myself towards, or perhaps just receiving. So
Yes.
that my grounded self, my love self, and my spiritual consciousness self, that they all dance together and guide me further towards that, again, back to what I'm here for, support me in sharing this,
Yeah.
that I can leave this planet with having made not only my unique, but also the greatest contribution to others.
Yes. And to have delight while we're doing it. One of the things that I'm really noticing and shedding is a savior mentality. I'm shedding it because being a savior means that somebody's out there needing to be saved. So I'm creating people who need to be saved in my life. But I'm also shedding it because saviors tend to get, stoned to death. I mean, they tend to suffer. Part of the whole archetype is that there's suffering and martyring. And what I'm really interested in, and you're kind of alluding to it, Elspeth, is delight as we move with purpose. How can we also appreciate what's so beautiful and smells good, and the feel of the breath, in my body, or the wind on my skin. So thank you for connecting all those parts of ourselves, our life force, our heart, and our consciousness. Third eye is where you were pointing as you spoke. I know we only have a few minutes left with you, so let me just ask this question, Elspeth. If someone says to you, that all sounds good, Elspeth, but sometimes my anger is legitimate. Sometimes I have been, a boundary's been crossed and I need to assert the boundary, or, something like that. How do you negotiate that?
Yeah, great question. So anger, disappointment, all of these feelings are deeply human, just as love is deeply human. It is not to avoid, it's not to suppress our feelings. It's about allowing to feel our feelings and to listen to the feeling versus being driven, being done to by the feeling. When I feel subjected to my anger, this is when I cannot use my anger powerfully. So, so let's say injustice, be it racial, social, gender, and any injustice which has to do with that a wrong was done, like a promise was not fulfilled, or treating someone or being treated without respect and dignity. To feel anger is that feeling that has to do with, Elspeth, be alert, there is something off. So it welcomes the anger. Now, when I get lost in my anger, I cannot use it for the greater good. And that is where we often get lost. We feel so self-righteous, so indignant, and I'm right about this, and I now need to shoot back. Then my anger becomes another weapon. And then we are like this, where force goes against force. So I want to listen to my anger, feel it. Often it's in the pit of the stomach, not necessarily, but often. And to breathe into that place. And then perhaps ask the question, what is there for me to be seen? And out of that question, perhaps action may follow. Sometimes it's in the relationship with a partner or with a friend, and then we move to action. But from the question, what is there for me to be seen, instead of me being so self-righteous and now I have to hit back. It's very ineffective, actually, in terms of what I may want to affect.
Mm.
And that also applies to the big question of racial or social injustice.
Yeah. Well, I thank you, Elspeth. We're just at the end of our time. This is such a juicy conversation. Can you please tell our folks how they can learn more about you, a website maybe, or anything you want to share?
Yes, yes. So at tantranova.com, it's spelled Tantranova, Tantranova, like supernova, Tantranova. I also work with women, not just with couples. Freddie also works only with men. And in the program section, you can learn further about the feminine essence work. And then I would love to share this heart-to-heart connection practice with everyone who is listening today. And thank you so much from my heart to yours, Aminata, for your grace, for your power, and for your leadership.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you. And we will share the link to the heart to heart in the show notes. And really blessings to you and Tantra Nova and all the work that you do, the seeds you plant. Don't ever doubt them. All
Thank
right.
you.